Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben. So my name is Mateo. I'm founder of Honestly, and I love people. Let me start with a question. Who is a CEBIT virgin? Who is here for the very first time? Hands up. Hands up. Okay, it's the majority. It's also my first time here, so I'm in your club. And I think it's amazing. And what gets me really excited is that I think that every problem of the world will be solved by creative minds. If it's a problem that a horse cannot run fast enough, it will be solved by creative minds. If it's a problem that everybody in your city stinks and you want them to smell bad, well, that problem will be solved by creative minds. And think about the problems you're solving for your customers and for the companies you serve, and you will notice that that thought becomes really realistic. The first entrepreneur I ever met was my father. And he taught me like a very important lesson. He taught me to measure life, not in seconds and hours, but in moments and experiences. So I wouldn't ask someone how old he was, but how often he really felt alive. I wouldn't ask a mom how old a kid was, but how many nights he kept her awake. And as I grew up, I noticed that companies operate under the same bias. They know everything about their gross margin, about their bottom line, about their churn and growth, about their company headcount, and often so little about the daily impact they have on the people they serve and they are employed with. And that's when I found my problem. As a millennial, I knew the answer would be in the internet. And I quickly launched my first web portal where you could capture all moments of truth. And it went really quick, really bad. I bankrupted after 6 months. And my problem was, I did it on live television, and whole Bolivia knew. I kind of felt like this guy. And I had to figure out how to start again. By destiny, I found these two guys, Sven and Sebastian, my two co-founders and close friends. They had their own angles in how they saw this problem and what solution they wanted to provide it. And quickly, we gathered the first seed capital for a new company called Honestly, gained the first customers, and built up the first team. After 6 months, almost everyone was gone because we were terrible leaders. We didn't know how to guide people. We didn't know how to give purpose to a company. We didn't know how to build products and sell them. But we didn't know more than that. And again, we felt like the Brazilians. But this time we went alone, and we were really determined to create an organization worth belonging. We recognized that it was the people that we need to attract and retain in order to have a successful companies. And I tell you one thing, we did everything. We went very corporate, then we went very casual. I would say we did everything to not appear Brazilian again. And at some point, I think we figured it out. And we grew an organization that it was really worth belonging, with a purpose and values. This is last September, on the 5th anniversary, and for me that was the breakthrough. When I noticed the energy and everyone was like contributing to this idea. 1 month after this anniversary, we went to Zukunft Personal, a leading HR fair. And we had 2 major breakthroughs. First one is we finally bought honestly.com and could establish ourselves internationally. And the second one is we launched an employee engagement solution, which now has over 40,000 paying people using it. And working with all these companies, trying to grasp engagement, trying to build a company culture, we learned a lot about it. We learned a lot that we could apply to the customers we work with. We learned a lot that we could apply to ourselves. We defined our vision, we defined our values, and we gathered the whole team to do so. And we also learned what problems are caused by the lack of a great culture. For example, 50% of all long-term sickness absenteeisms, of all sickness which is longer than 14 days per year, is due to company culture. And that's a study by AOK. That's not something Honestly came up with. Imagine by improving the workplace, you can make people healthier. Also, we learned that highly engaged employees, they are less likely to leave. 60% less likely than the industry standard. I don't know your industry. It varies from 1% in the public sector to 100% in the fast food industry. But you can really lower it by 60%. It's common sense. Build a great place to work, people would say. It also has a huge impact on productivity. Imagine you think what you do is meaningful and purposeful. And maybe this is the most famous example of German people-first companies, DM. It's highly affected. It highly affects customer satisfaction. DM is the most trusted retail brand, more trusted in IKEA, more trusted in Amazon, and also the most popular retail brand in Germany. And it's definitely a people-first company. So, employee engagement. How do you measure something that evaporates in the moment it is created? And how do you improve something that is so difficult to measure? We gathered university professors. We gathered the people that really cared about employee engagement at the customers we serve. And we looked what they do and how they would tackle this problem. First, we needed a common definition. We still are struggling. What's a person? What's an organization? So we started by defining the 9 pillars of employee engagement. Among them, advocacy. How proud are the people of your organization to what they do? About recognition and feedback. How is it established inside your organization? About personal growth. How do you allow everyone to have the full potential of himself? And to find a set of questions that would ask the whole staff every week. We would get the easiest channel to this person. If it would be like a flight attendant, we use an Engage app. If it would be like an office worker or a call center, we use like an integration solution. If it's a blue-collar working, building together cars, we use a feedback terminal. And then we would have actionable insights with benchmarks to know what is your engagement score, what are the things you should focus on, and what are the action items you can take. And the real benefit comes that you could really prevent problems. You know, often, and this has happened to every one of you in your company, as soon you hit the iceberg, the damage is done, and it's so expensive, if possible, to repair it and make it work again. But if you can really repair it, you can really prevent it and see it in advance. You can also keep your track on and go towards a goal, because you won't get distracted by obstacles that you see on a very short sight. And that will make it possible for you to deliver on the people's expectations, on the expectations of your customers and on the expectations of your employees. And delivering on expectations is probably the most relevant thing when it comes to people and relationships. It creates an environment of trust. And trust is so meaningful, it is so powerful. Trust will make people give you be vulnerable, give you everything they have, because they know you're going to make good out of it. And looking into this room, I really would feel honored if we could go hand in hand together and build a world of trustworthy organizations. Thank you very much.